What would happen if everything you desired most in life isn't what it cracked up to be? The dream gives you fuel. Purpose is what breathes life into your every step. The very thought of waking up in the morning and looking forward to taking another step towards the life that you want is admirable. It's exciting, it's heart pumping. But what if it wasn't? What if what you wanted isn't as perfect or as exciting as you hoped it to be? What if the glory you thought it would give you was stripped away? What if the high position you held of it in your mind was brought down to earth? What if it stopped being such a big deal?
Is that such a bad thing, though?
The fetishization of your dreams may be the one thing holding you back. One of two things happens when you overglorify your dreams. Number one, you get disappointed. Or number two, you get intimidated. Here's a question. What's more exciting? Christmas Day or the anticipation leading up to Christmas?
Or said a different way, what brings out more emotion? The day you open up your present or the month-long anticipation, waiting, and guessing game until the day you open up your present? If that makes sense.
I would imagine most people would remember the burning desire for what they would hope to be a good present more than the act of opening the present itself. The excitement you held for it, hoping it was exactly what you asked for. The crushing anxiety of the reality that it might not be what you wanted after all. You keep thinking about it, and all of a sudden you're imagining how much better your life will be with the insert present here. Then guess what? 2 days go by, a week goes by, a month goes by, and the excitement is gone. You may still enjoy and appreciate the present, but you quickly realize that it didn't live up to the hype you had about it in your own mind. Why? Because you fell in love with the idea of what it was in your head, not the actual thing. I find that people do that a lot with their desires. You had one idea in your head of how it should have been like, and afterwards you get disappointed when it didn't match the pedestal that you placed it on. Then you question whether or not everything you've done up until this point was worth it. What if you knew how the present would have felt like at the beginning of the anticipation? Would you have felt disappointed? Would the anxiety have disappeared? How much better would that day have been if you didn't hold that unrealistic expectation in your mind?
Just look at how beautiful that sun is, man. Look at that. Middle of summer, baby.
Here's another example. Do you remember as a kid how you admired adults for being capable of doing things you didn't believe were possible for you? If your uncle was a firefighter, you couldn't imagine jumping into a burning building. You think it's insane. But what you don't recognize is that your uncle likely felt the same way, but now to him it's just another day at the job. It's normal. If your dad was a cop, you might have thought the idea of carrying a gun and catching criminals is terrifying. Yeah, but so did your dad. But with 10 years of experience, now it's just another Tuesday. Or let's say you wanted to become a famous actor, and you admired people you saw on Broadway, but you allowed fear to stop you from pursuing it fully. You couldn't imagine yourself being on stage in front of 1,000 people. Alright, but so did they at one point. But after 20 years, they're just as comfortable doing that as you are now chatting with a group of friends. Why were we scared at that point? Why did we think of people like that as superhuman or special? Because we're judging them based on our current capabilities. Obviously, if we have no experience in an area, seeing someone 10 years down the road would make them appear like superhuman. But what if you had that feeling of it not being as big of a deal since the beginning? Would you hesitate to pursue something you felt was within reach? What if you were able to free trial the end result of how it would feel once you obtain your desire, thus normalizing it for you? what we'll find is that it'll be more beneficial to normalize our desires to a point where we believe it is well within our reach, because it is. Do something right now that will make your dream feel normal instead of a faraway scenario. For example, a couple weeks ago, I won a contest for a free overnight Tesla ride at the Tesla dealership in Brooklyn. Although I drove the Tesla Model 3, the Tesla Model X has been on my dream board for over a year now. And you couldn't believe how excited I was to finally drive it all around New York City for the first time. Yeah, before this, I was borderline obsessed with other YouTubers making videos, doing Tesla road trips, testing the self-driving capabilities, and overall just having fun. So although I wasn't at the point yet to buy one outright myself, you could just guess how excited I was when I won that contest. And you know what? It's a fun drive, now looking back on it. But you want to know the first thing I said after driving it for about 30 minutes? Bro, it's just a car. For over a year, I had this idea of what owning a Tesla would be like, festering in my head. The more I kept thinking about it and researching it, the higher value of it I placed in my head. Was I mad about it? Disappointed that it didn't live up to my expectations? No. I'm actually glad I brought my vision back down to earth and I realized that it wasn't as big of a deal to own one. Before I drove one, it was a faraway fantasy of one day I'll get this magnificent prize. Now this is like anything else I've already achieved in my life. Like every other car I've driven. It's tangible and I can have this. I challenge you to do the same for your desires, whether it's materialistic or not. As an example, if your goal is to live in a luxury apartment one day, did you know that you don't necessarily need to be looking to buy an apartment nowadays in order to do a home or room tour? Last spring, I spent a bunch of time just touring different apartments, looking at Street Easy, looking at Housing Connect, touring different buildings in New York City. And not only was it fun, but it made me realize that all this stuff is available for me too. It wasn't a big deal anymore after I've experienced it myself firsthand. If your dream is to go on Broadway, can you find opportunities to perform in front of a large crowd and act as if it was Broadway? Can you find an opportunity to get backstage of a play? If your goal is financial freedom, don't over-glorify it. Just take a week of PTO from work and live that week as if you are already financially free. The whole point is to not make it a bigger deal than it actually is in your head. Increase your belief that you can actually get it. Because once you truly believe you can accomplish it, you will.
Hey guys, and just to be clear, the whole purpose of this isn't to tell you to, eradicate the emotion behind your dream or just make it seem like it's not a big deal at all. I mean, that's kind of half the fun about it, right? Like you're choosing to pursue something that scares you, choosing to pursue something that just forces you to get outside your comfort zone and do something that you never thought was possible. But the fact of the matter is, if you hold up to a pedestal, it becomes just this enigma. It becomes just something that you're not really sure as to whether or not you're going to accomplish it. If you normalize it, at least from my experience with just the different things I've done in my life, from fitness to trying new things to just different milestones in my life so far. It just, once you normalize it, once you treat it as something that's within your reach, once you take it from the pedestal down to earth, it just becomes something that you can do, and you don't get disappointed, and you don't become just another person that says he wants to do something, never tries it, and gives up and fails. So hope this helps. Love you all. Bye.
Is this not crazy? Who threw an egg at a laptop in Best Buy? It's the only in New York. Cape with the wig. Only in New York. Yeah, that's really cool, actually. Yeah, it's my job.